Previously lazy people in Reddit. How did you defeat control your sloth? I'm lazy as frick and a huge slob. I married a guy with similar cleanliness habits, and we were happy. Then we decided to have a kid, and I looked around and thought, my son deserves better. During that 9 months, that was my mantra. Now our house isn't immaculate, but it isn't dirty or messy. But goddang do I just want to do the dishes later, vacuum tomorrow, deal with it next week. But my son deserves better. It comes down to a value judgment. Full disclosure, inside of the productive, attentive and proactive man I portray is a boy who doesn't want to do anything or care about anything. However, at a certain point in my life I realized that I wanted order in my life, and that the chaos in my life didn't satisfy me. I made a choice, or hit a threshold, depending on how you feel about determinism, to value the outcome of taking initiative to turn that chaos into order, over the inherent comfort of allowing that chaos to continue. It's a sacrifice, and all sacrifices are the act of deferring immediate gratification for an investment in the future. Essentially, changing that value judgment is putting more value on the future and less on the present. So I started doing the things I didn't feel like doing, but knew deep in my heart were the things I needed to do. You know those things: getting grocery shopping done a few days early, picking up and cleaning up, getting on top of your finances, talking to the people in your family you don't want to talk to, investing time in friends and people for the sake of doing it, getting into the habit of regular exercise. A person doesn't change by choosing to become a new person and waking up a new person. We change bit by bit as we try to be a better person today than we were yesterday. In a short period of time, you can see some small results, but if you make this your focus for weeks, years or decades, you'll become an entirely different and better person than you would ever have imagined. Cheers bud, I'm gonna do some chores tomorrow, and future me will thank both me and you for that. Reading Getting Things Done and How to Fail at Almost Everything helped me turn laziness into an advantage. Basically, you realize that your future self is lazier than you are, so you take advantage of your future self like the 1% take advantage of the 99%. And the best part is that it works for almost everything for me. Looking to eat healthy? Make it the lazier option for your future self. Chop carrots and cucumbers and stock your fridge with it. So 3 hours later when you're hungry, munching on a ready salad is by default the easiest and fastest option. Looking to run every morning? Sleep in your running gear. That makes it one step closer to actually running. I mean, morning me is already dressed. Looking to finish that shopping? Make a list and set a geolocation alarm, so when I pass by the grocery store, I have a ready-made list of what to buy without expending any effort thinking. This works for me and I really hope it helps kick the future lazy you in the nads. I'm still lazy. I'm just a lazy person who gets stuff done. First thing I do is to break every project down into the smallest discrete tasks I can and set modest and achievable goals to complete those small pieces and tie accomplishing them to rewards. A silly but relevant and immediate example, I have this library of useless material in binders in my office at work. It would probably take me 1.5 hours of focused effort to empty the binders into the shred bin and find a home for the empty binders. But I just can't be bothered to do that. So before I get a coffee each morning, I take 2 books and empty those, then enjoy my coffee with a feeling of accomplishment. It will take maybe 6 weeks to clean them all out, but they've been there collecting dust for 2 years with no progress on disappearing, so that's okay. The scariest moment is always just before you start. After that things can only get better. Stephen King. I was pretty fat and then really skinny because I was too lazy to eat and horribly unfit. Heavy drinker, drug user and smoker. My mate forced me to do 5 push-ups a day when I stayed with him for a few weeks and went from -1 to around 10 a day. Felt amazing of the accomplishment, so forced myself to do it every day. Then joined the gym etc. Now the confidence and great feeling being fit has really carried over to my other parts of my life. Not for everyone, but for me one day I was watching my 6th rerun of How I Met Your Mother. The naked man asked if you could do one thing with your life, what would it be? And I thought about my sponsor child. I thought about all the clean water I waste at home. I thought about how drinkable water should be free everywhere and isn't. I recently started school after 4 years of idleness. Went to get medication for my MDD. Have a planned trip to visit my sponsor child. I'm going to build wells until everyone has drinkable water or I die, whichever comes first. For things like working out, I had to remove myself from the ultimate goal of losing weight or getting into shape and learn to make doing the things to get there the whole point of the project. Actually, the whole point of the series of projects that happen daily. My daily projects for working out. 1. Get into workout clothes. I find this is a weird gate. I rarely have any resistance to getting to the gym once I dress for the gym. 2. Get to the gym. 3. Do 20 minutes of cardio. 4. Lift for 30 minutes. Optional. 5. Do more if I feel like it. I usually do once I got to this point. I tie accomplishing these things to some reward I will not allow myself if they aren't done. Watching an episode of a program. For example, I completely forget about the ultimate reason I do these things and just focus on doing them to get to the daily reward. The results take care of themselves over time, but I just commit those 4 projects each day before I reward myself. I quit weed and now my reward for these types of things is gone. It's so comfortable, the feeling of just giving in and becoming okay with not doing what you need to. Pushing the responsibility to the future self who has infinite willpower, the self that will feel like doing it. It's okay not to do it this time because I just don't have the motivation today, the inspiration. I'm just tired today, I can relax. No, I should relax before starting by watching Netflix or playing some games. It's okay, I have time. I know this dialogue all too well. I know the exact feeling of giving in, that seductive feeling of relief, of sinking in and letting go of all that stress and pressure. Convincing myself it's okay not to be productive today. What did it for me was realizing I will always keep giving in, and then I saw my future parents passing away before I accomplished any of what I wanted to do to make them proud. Crushing anxiety and anger at the world. Blaming everyone and everything but myself for failing to pursue my dreams. Years toiling at a job I tell myself is just temporary. I realize that I need to learn to love the feeling of anxiety I get when I think about doing work. Transform it into a trigger to get excited. I need to love the feeling of not knowing how to do something. I need to never rely on motivation or inspiration to get things done, but cold robotic routines that are so ingrained something feels wrong when I don't do them. The more you encounter that feeling of giving in and actively fight against it, telling yourself today we get crap done and actually do it with no balls in between, the stronger you become, the deeper your new behavior becomes. Every time you find yourself thinking about giving in, or even after you do, it's an opportunity to change. Every second that Netflix episode moves forward is another opportunity to change a habit. See all the moments you give in as moments to stand back up, recognizing it, knowing it's not okay to let it win, and actually fighting it is how you do it. It's that simple. You build willpower. You build willpower by exercising it. Think of it like weightlifting. If your willpower is weak, then start small, and every day exercise it more and more. Learn to love putting the axe to the grindstone. Embrace fear, suffering, doubt, sacrifice, and all those feelings that stop you. Become aware of them inside you, and recognize when they come knocking. They can either drag you down, or they can be used as fuel to drive yourself forward. That was such a motivational thing to read. Thank you. I've found that when sitting in my traditional lounging Reddit position on my bed, I imagine this very cynical sad world that I have no control over. Then I stand up, realize I have a bunch of control over things. Just getting used to forcing yourself to stand up and randomly go for a walk when you don't want to, clean your room or something. Frick, if merely standing up changes your worldview, walking outside and meeting people and dogs becomes a game changer. IDK. Maybe that's just me, but seeing the power of little actions like that just makes everything seem more important and worth engaging in. That's how I've been beating laziness lately. You had me at meeting dogs. Baby steps and rewards. Tonight, I did the dishes before I went to Culver's and got myself some custard. The bathroom is disgusting and I haven't folded the laundry I did on Tuesday night. But my only goal for the night was to clear the sink of dishes, and I did it. So now I get custard while Reddit and watch Planet Earth. Also, I try to do stuff as soon as I get home from work. I scoop the litter boxes as soon as I walk in the door, because as soon as I sit my butt down, accomplishments are pretty much over. It also helps not having a slobby husband to pick up after. Realize that I'm much tidier than I thought when it's just me. I look at my life as if it's someone's life who I am envious of. If I look at my grades and they're so good, I would be jealous if I were someone else. I studied enough. If not, I study more. If I walk into my house and pretend I don't live there and it's messy, I'm immediately grossed out. If it's clean, I feel great about it. Plus, having others over is suddenly something I wouldn't mind. I make my life into a game where when I look at myself, my job, grades, and home, I think, am I thoroughly impressed? Would someone else want my job, grades, home? If not, I fix it. If so, then I worked hard enough. Yes, I'm a jealous little freak. I know. How that's my motivation. If I were someone else, would I approve of this or that? That's a difficult question to answer because it's been such a long, slow process. I didn't like myself, my life, or my habits. So I wrote down a general vision of the kind of person I wanted to be and set about trying to become it. My habits before were excessive internet use, video games. In social situations, I was constantly cracking lame jokes and trying to subtly convince people I was this awesome person that I knew I wasn't. The vision of myself that I'm chasing is a hard worker. He works out, eats healthy, reads, makes and follows plans, is a good friend and doesn't try to convince people that he's better than he is. I wasn't chasing anything before. That was the problem. I had no direction, so I just aimlessly pursued dopamine rushes with no long-term plan. Maybe nothing really mattered to me back then. Like I didn't have a plan, so I didn't have a purpose. I have a path I'm following now. I think that's the big difference. Great post. Honestly, I started getting treatment for my depression. Turns out the problem wasn't so much that I was lazy as that the constant struggle with mental illness was using up all my energy reserves. Things still aren't perfect, but the combination of CBT and some lifestyle changes, better diet, going outside for a walk every day, have made a huge difference. Started taking a quality vitamin D supplement. Now I no longer need a nap or two in the middle of the day because I don't feel exhausted, I'm not cold all the time, and my appetite has improved. I have a watch. Got it from my grandfather who is not there anymore. He told me to use my time wisely when handing it to me. I try to always keep it close to do so. Strange enough, I got it from a Sidney Sheldon novel character. He was this rich guy who made it big by dividing his time into a day and then hour and then minute and always spending it to something useful. Anything other than that would be a waste of time. So whenever I don't do anything, I feel guilty and get up and do something. I start with the most boring thing to do as a start. Step 1. Realize the problem. For example, your phone. Step 2. Throw said problem across the room every time you realize it's preventing you from doing something. Step 3. Become concerned because you keep throwing probably expensive things across the room, maybe hitting other expensive things. Step 4. Stop having the problem due to large concern for damaging whatever it is, your walls, anything you own. Instructions unclear. Wife stuck in wall. I battle every day, but I spotted a recurring thought pattern that would cause me unhappiness. The pattern was 1. I should do this, followed immediately by 2. I really don't feel like it, I'll do it later. There's nothing inherently wrong with that pattern for normal people. Normal people can say nap later and actually do it later. But when later rolled around for me, I would feel a debilitating guilt that grew like compound interest, making it harder and harder to do the thing that should have been done already. I'll do it later becomes I'll do it late, and feel like total crap about it the entire time. So now I work to be more aware of my own thoughts and inner monologue, and when I hear that 1-2 pattern, I forcefully insert a 3 number. Do it now. And I do it. And now some people think of me as that annoyingly proactive guy who never lets stuff slide. I have them totally fooled. It does not come naturally at all. It is war in my head and heart, every day, and I don't always win. There's important stuff I haven't done right now that needs doing, that I feel guilty about not having done it already, but I'm a lot better than I was. Guilt that grew like compound interest. That's a beautiful to describe the feeling. Exactly what I feel. I started breaking down big tasks into smaller tasks. For example, my room was a literal mess, something that would take me a few hours to clean. So instead of cleaning for a few hours, I would do a bit each day. I would pick a spot and start cleaning. One day it might be the nightstand, the other it might be organizing the closet, the next day maybe taking 20 minutes to hang up all the clothes. Eventually the room started to look much better. Once I got it cleaned, I would take 10-15 minutes per day to do maintenance cleaning, taking out any garbage and hanging up any clothes. I found breaking down bigger tasks makes me feel like they are more easy to accomplish. When I am faced with a big task I often feel overwhelmed and then I just sit there trying to figure out what to do and waste time. Breaking it down into smaller pieces makes it more manageable. Honestly, find something, anything that you are passionate about. You'll be amazed how laziness isn't really a core part of you. You're just apathetic and unmotivated. But when you give a crap about something, the laziness magically disappears. You'll still have crappy responsibilities that you'll be lazy with. That's much harder to fix. For me, to-do lists help. Stopped smoking pot. Wanted to get more lady loving. Can't be lazy if you want that. You have to be clean. And so does your crap. Making money doesn't hurt. So yeah, over time I realized being lazy wasn't gonna get me what I wanted. Women love a man who has his crap together. Continue trying and failing over and over at it. The major turning point was when I got so freaking sick of having the same exact life I've always had and expected one day I would figure it all out. Pro tip: you aren't going to get different results someday doing the same things. This is you we're talking about here. Are you seriously going to treat yourself like this? It's not like you get to swap characters. If you're here wondering how you can be less lazy, that means there are things you want to do that you aren't doing. You are the single most important thing in your own life. Do some crap for yourself. Who gives a frick if you're tired or you don't feel like it? Just start doing it. You're going to die sometime between today and at best like 70-80 years from now. You don't have the luxury of sitting around waiting for yourself to want to do something. Well, one day I decided I was going to start working out, so I did. Then the next day when I was trying to find excuses to not go, I forced myself to go. I repeated this until it felt weird wrong to not go to the gym. Then I changed up my diet to keto, and I have never had so much energy or felt so good. I think the diet thing probably depends on you and what your body responds to though. Keto just happened to be what worked best for me. It's not some miracle diet or anything. My body just seems to respond better on low carbs. I experimented with a few diets before settling on that one. My ego. I care more about what people think about me than being lazy. I have been using cannabis for 10 years and it has thoroughly shot my motivation. I can easily look past things by smoking a bowl. But when I think about the life I live, my job, why I have nice things, I want to keep those things and my social status. So I dedicate myself to being better than lazy. I had the realization that my obesity and high cholesterol would likely kill me before my kids turned 20. I started riding my bike to the train, riding a little further each day. 15 months later I do 45 kilometers cycling round trip each day. I'm 25 kilograms lighter. Cholesterol is way down. Just did my first 100-mile overnight bike ride. Small steps led to a far better lifestyle and finding a sport I don't hate. From my own experience, decisions don't matter. You can choose to change your habits but you'll slide right back. You have to change your neurochemistry instead. It's the basis of our behavior. I've noticed an absurdly strong correlation between my ability to get crap done and the amount of sugar I eat. I thought the diet and exercise crowd was a bunch of hippies, but in my own case I was wrong. When I consistently eat a lot of sugar, I cannot get work done. When I'm eating little to no sugar, I'm a machine. I'm taking the next 60 days to lay down healthy eating as a firm habit. The next 60 days I'll lay down daily cardio as a firm habit, and see what sort of improvements that gets me. Here's what did not help. Hitting rock bottom. Inspiration and motivation. Time management systems. Choosing to get over my laziness. What did help was fixing my diet, and therefore my neurochemistry. The difference in work productivity is astonishing. I would have never thought food would have an impact like this. Interesting. Thanks for sharing. may try out your idea, since most of what you listed in the "this didn't help me" section has been equally unhelpful to me as well. You must realize that you are the master of your own destiny. No one succeeds without putting in work. Set goals, break those goals down into the steps required to accomplish them. Nothing worthwhile is easy and nothing easy is worthwhile. Break the steps down into day-by-day tasks and set aside time to complete those tasks. Start with a few minutes each day, and before you know it you can spend hours without even realizing you're working. Also, having a grasp in your health is important for this too. Drink more water than you think you need and challenge yourself physically. It will give you more energy throughout the day by comparison to your workout. Exercise will also release chemicals that make you feel good and raise your metabolism. You'll crave activity and then you won't have built up energy at the end of the day and you'll sleep better. Hope this helps. I found Dr. Jordan B. Peterson. People hate him for his politics and controversy, but he's a clinical psychologist. The sloth goes away when you see where it will lead you and why the alternative is more desirable. I started cleaning my room, house, and life, and I'm making something of myself. Habit. I just started doing the things I had been putting off, and did them every single day. It sucked at first, but then it became a habit and now it sucks way less. Like most people here, I'm lazy by nature. I almost failed several courses through HS and first year of uni, cause I would either spend the day before studying or not study at all. My life was going nowhere and I knew I couldn't change myself. Then one day it hit me. Amphetamines. I abused the crap out of them, but I also came to the conclusion that they impeded my performance. Ironically, IDK what happened, that abuse altered my cognition and now I do fine even without those drugs. Went from just getting by to top of my classes. I say to myself 1, 2, 3, and on 3 I go. Whatever it is I'm delaying myself from doing. And I know that in my head, I will go on 3. Procrastinated so hard it came full circle. I now do all the stuff I should be doing to save the stuff I want to do, which make me avoid doing what I should be doing for later when I'll have time to enjoy them. Either you gotta force yourself to do something or have someone help. For one, I would take my phone or laptop or whatever I wanted to use and put it somewhere far away from my person in my house and stay in my chair and do work, not allowing myself to get it until my work is done. Clean your dang room. But really I learned it as a process laid out by Dr. Jordan Peterson. To become more conscientious you have to start out small. There's at least 10 small things you know you should do right now. But you can't be a tyrant and just force yourself to do it and hate it. You have to negotiate with yourself. Say if I go pick up the dog shit right now I can have a milkshake after. Or if I need to go to the gym for a month I can buy myself that Nintendo Switch I want. And then BSP. Basically start with one thing at a time and create incentive systems for yourself to do them. Over the course of 6 months suddenly you will clean your room and get all of your work done and be a happier, more productive person. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.